Everything you need to know about heat mats in less than 10 minutes. Number 1, not all crops are created equal. Starting seeds means taking a look at the individual needs of each crop and sometimes each variety. Soil preference, temperature preference, and light preference should all be considered. For the sake of this video, we're just going to be dealing with the temperature preference of the soil. If you're starting 1 to let's say 4 flats total for the year or for the season, that may mean a mixed market garden. If you're trying to do all that all in just a few cell trays of mixed varieties, keep in mind that you may want to find the best average temperature or decide other methods in which you're going to take care of that soil temperature. Now, if you're starting seeds year-round, or you're monocropping, or you just have a couple of different ones, you might have a couple of different soil temperature setups to accomplish this. Just know that this is what the bigger farms have as standard practice. So one of the main questions we get is, do we even need heat mats? Well, considering the soil preference, the temperature preference, and light preference, what we encourage people to do is hopefully you're already getting your seeds from a reputable company. And here's an example of how to determine the soil temperature needs. So if we look at the Big Beef Hybrid, which is going to be one of the more popular varieties out there from our friends at True Leaf Market, and this is going to be fairly common for any professional seed source, is somewhere along that website, you're going to be able to scroll down. And just in general, buying things online does require you to get all of the information to scroll down and click through that listing. But if we scroll down on True Leaf, what would be considered the next page, you see the description, attributes, and reviews. Under the attributes, it's going to give some information to consider. It's going to tell you the days to maturity, zone information, planting depth of the seed, some guidelines for row spacing, growth habits, soil preference, and the light preference. And so for these tomatoes, it's giving us an ideal soil temperature of 65 to 95 degrees. And that's a pretty wide range. So you have to think about if it's too hot or too cold on that bell curve, where's going to be the most ideal? It's not going to be at the tail ends of those two extremes. So if tomatoes are 65 to 95, this variety at least, and then this variety of butter crunch lettuce at 55 to 70, and then this common variety of Tam jalapeno at 70 to 90 degrees. And then if we want to throw in some cut flowers, everybody does zinnias, we're looking at 65 to 90 degrees. So if we take this cross section, we're looking at, with just 4 varieties of things that pretty much everybody grows, you're looking at 55 degrees to 95 degrees. So if we think about putting all of those in one single cell tray and putting them on one single place to start your seeds, and if we look at the only overlap that we really have is around 70 degrees, it's going to be really hot for lettuce, a little bit on the low side, or what I like to refer to as the Goldilocks zone, right in the middle, and then a little bit on the cold side for tomatoes, and then a little bit on the cold side for the Tam jalapenos, and a little less than Goldilocks zone for the zinnias. And so you can see why extended germination times, germination issues, percentages, all that kind of things could be affected if you're just trying to start everything under one umbrella. So beyond just general germination tips, you're still having to overcome soil, temperature, and light preferences for each of those individual varieties. Now, what you want to think about is, where are you starting your seeds? Is it in a greenhouse where the temperature is going to fluctuate quite a bit? Is it an indoor setup where you're already at that 70 degrees, and with peppers and tomatoes you want to just bump the ambient temperature up a little bit to get you more in the middle of that bell curve? All of these things are in addition to what you have to think about beyond the soil temperature. So these heat mats are a tool to help you achieve anything higher than ambient temperature over a 24-hour period. So now that you know where to get the information for the particular type of seeds that you're going to germinate, you can then determine, are you going to need a heat mat and how you're going to deploy it? So number 2, when you choose the heat mat, the number 1 thing I would start out with is scale. We have a 10 by 20, which does 1 flat, which you could either do a 50 cell, a 72, a 128, or a 200, either all of one variety, or if you're a hobby grower, small grower, or just doing a limited run, filling up just a certain number of those cells. We also have a 20 by 20, which of course is going to let you fit 2. And then we have a 20 by 48, which you can fit up to 4 trays. These trays, if you just plug them into the wall, are always going to be pretty much on and give you about 10 degrees over the ambient temperature. So if you're in your house and it's 70 degrees and you're trying to plant lettuce, it's probably going to be on the hotter side of that spectrum and you may not even need it. However, if you're in your house and you're 70 degrees, 10 degrees over ambient temperature does put you right nicely in that bell curve for the 80 to 90 degree varieties. And then for our bigger growers, we have commercial heat mats in both a master and an add-on, and both of these are going to be that 20 by 48 size. So the master mat has a plug that you can plug into a thermostat, which we'll talk about here in a second. And on the opposite side, it has a pigtail to plug into the add-on mat, which then can be further pigtailed depending on how many cell trays you're going to germinate. So now that you've determined whether or not you need a heat mat and maybe what size that you need, let's get power to this thing. I really encourage the use of thermostats. That way you can control whether the heat mat is going to turn on or off and keep a steady temperature, or if you're just going to let it run that 10 degrees above ambient temperature. And keep in mind, 10 degrees is not necessarily at the soil. While the use of the thermostat, you have a probe that goes directly into the soil right where the seed is going to be. And so while it may heat up above ambient room temperature, it's keeping that temperature at the soil ideal, which means it's having to go through a 10-20 bottom watering situation, the dead air space in between the tray and the cell inserts. The water's a factor in there. As you add water, it's going to be a different temperature. So it really helps regulate the temperature as best we can at the soil where the seed is actually located. If we look at this thermostat, it has 3 parts on the bottom: the plug that goes into the wall outlet, the probe wire, and then an outlet for the add-on heat mat. So of course the plug is just going to go into an outlet to get power to the unit. The probe wire has a suction cup on it, and whether you're doing soilless media inside or soil inside or outside, you can plug it right directly into that seed bed. A little suction cup just kind of helps it stick to the 10-20. But remember, it goes into the soil, not the water, not the bottom of the tray. To operate your thermostat, whether you prefer Celsius or Fahrenheit, to get Fahrenheit, you just press and hold the up button for 3 seconds and it'll switch it over to F. And if you want Celsius, you press and hold the down button for 3 seconds to put it in Celsius mode. To change the temperature, you press and hold the set button for 3 seconds, and then you can press either the up arrow or the down arrow to increase or decrease the soil temperature. When you have reached the desired temperature, you just press set and it'll hold that temperature. Now what you're going to see is that heating light turn off and on throughout the day. If it's off, that means that the soil temperature has reached the ideal temp, and so power to the heating elements inside of the heat mat are turned off. And if it's on, that means the temperature has dropped below and it's going to kick on to maintain that soil temperature. Now do keep in mind, let's say you forget about things for a little bit and you're inside a greenhouse and it happens to be a super hot day. This is not going to cool down the soil. So if you go above those germination temperatures, that may affect some germination or the health of your plant. Now to hook up add-on mats to the master mat, you have these 21 long pigtails on either side of the mat. For some folks, they're going to go from the wall to the thermostat, put the probe in the first one, and then they're going to plug in their mat, in which they're going to pigtail another mat, and then another mat, and then another mat. And with those cords being 21 inches long, you can do vertical shelves, whether that's up and down, as long as they don't exceed the cord length, or you can spread them out like in some of the video clips. These things are rated for 1500 watts, which means you can plug up to 10 mats for a 15 amp general household circuit. So you may want to double check your circuit to make sure it's at least 15 amps before you plug it in. I don't recommend going over 10 mats. So let's say you had a 30 amp circuit in your house. You don't want to overload that thing. So 8 mats, I'm really comfortable at. You can do 10, but if you're going to do over 10, just get 2 thermostats and kind of divide those mats up evenly. Those 3-prong connectors go into 3 little holes inside the female side of the pigtail, and you really have to line those up a little bit. They're pretty small, but they go in super easy. You can't just jam it in there. You have to kind of line that up. Just one little thing to note. So really that's it. Determining if you even need a heat mat and what temperature it should be set for, adjusting your thermostat, deciding on what mats to use, and then if you use the commercial mats, how to plug all those in. All of the other considerations, like your seed starting space, ambient temperature, light, is all something you can control a little bit, and you'll have much better germination rates for a great season. Hope that helps. If you have any questions down below, let us know, and we'll see you next week.
I've been coming up hot for a minute.